今天我们要学习5个新的英语词汇。Let's get started. 第一个是 ponder， 第二个是 amass， 第三个是 proliferate， 第四个是 baffle， 最后一个是 avert。Ponder，
沉思，仔细思考。
Ponder. He spent hours pondering the meaning of life.
他花了好几个小时仔细思考生命的意义。
He spent hours pondering the meaning of life.
The man began to ponder, thinking about a spiritual world, a world you can't see, but filled with angels and demons.
He pondered the engagement, he pondered the wedding, and then he pondered the wedding night.
I was just pondering which would be the best place to take you to commemorate your birthday.
I mean, you analyze and calculate and ponder every possibility instead of just letting things be what they are.
Have you ever pondered what would actually happen to the earth if the sun stood still? You can tell.
So I'll leave each and every one of you to ponder that question inside yourself.
But the more he pondered a life with Jane, the more he feared losing that life.
It was at that point that he realized maybe he should stop pondering.
Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary.
I guess I have a lot of things to ponder.
Amass.
积累，大量累积。
Amass. He managed to amass a fortune through smart investments.
他透过精明的投资，成功累积了一笔财富。
He managed to amass a fortune through smart investments.
His father had amassed a considerable fortune from designing a device for the mass producing of shoes after the Civil War.
People who've amassed fortunes like your husband's generally aren't okay with being cheated out of any of it.
You've worked all your life to amass this fortune, knowing that Catherine would be the only one to leave it to.
But Alistair worked hard for decades to amass this fortune, and he told me on numerous occasions,
"You have managed to amass an impressive army in a relatively short amount of time."
I actually majored in art history, and you've amassed quite a collection.
The point of the game is to amass a fortune without being killed.
If I could figure out how to amass and hoard money, I'd do it.
Proliferate.
激增，迅速增长。
Proliferate. Small businesses have proliferated in the last 10 years.
在过去的10年里，小型企业大量激增。
Small businesses have proliferated in the last 10 years.
I was one of the first people sent to Brazil to study the situation when the African killer bee began proliferating there.
They were worried about plans for future armed protests that have already begun proliferating on and off Twitter.
He worked for the family business, trying to keep tabs on the proliferating hydra of clenched money.
Do you realize the amount of bacteria that can proliferate in a small amount of time?
If you take away a species' natural competition, they'll proliferate out of control.
Then it's our duty to help prevent that corruption from proliferating.
Baffle.
使困惑，使迷惑。
Baffle. She was completely baffled by his strange behavior.
他完全被他怪异的举动感到困惑。
She was completely baffled by his strange behavior.
Scientists are baffled by what now appears to be a single storm cloud that is expanding over much of Europe and Asia, moving towards the United States.
Meteorologists are baffled by the tornado and torrential rainstorms that struck the South American country of Colombia this afternoon.
You were an 18-year-old boy who was trying to handle a situation that would baffle almost 40-year-old men.
If you can't dazzle them with brilliance, you have to baffle them with bullshit and write the damn thing.
Detectives at the scene, however, were baffled by the brutality of the killings.
The Redmond murder case continues to baffle police tonight.
Police are still baffled by the case and report they have no clues.
He will baffle, bewilder, and bewitch you.
It can add greatly to the excitement if some small mark is left, designed to baffle the investigators without identifying the perpetrator.
Avert.
避免、防止、转移。
Avert. She managed to avert a disaster by acting quickly.
她快速的行动避免了一场灾难。
I tried to avert my eyes, but I couldn't help but stare.
我试着移开视线，却忍不住盯着看。
I want to assure each and every one of you that everything possible is being done to avert this disaster.
Have managed to avert the most serious crisis in the history of our nation.
But now that the crisis has been averted, I simply must take my leave. What?
Just the other day, I averted an explosion that was intended for him.
Minor crisis averted, but I think everything is perfect now.
So you tell me, can this destruction be averted?
I think we should avert trouble before it starts.
But I shall avert my eyes at the necessary moment.